Hi guys, this is Olga Redding with Iowa Organic Association. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator for Iowa. Welcome everybody to the Crop Insurance for Organic Producers workshop with Al Smith with Optimum Service Group. We're so excited to have Al today. He'll share with you about various options that are available. So before we get going, just a couple of housekeeping things. I will share a brief presentation about Iowa, just about 6 slides, and then after that, Al will start his presentation. Feel free to add your questions into the Q&A or the chat box. Both are options. And Al said that he is happy to answer the questions as they come in, so I'll probably interrupt him and then we can also save the questions for the end. So feel free to do whatever works best for you guys. In addition, this webinar will be recorded and added to our YouTube channel. So if you'd like to revisit it or share it with anyone that may benefit from this information, feel free to check it out on our channel. I will be sending everybody a link to the YouTube recording as well as a survey at the end. Your survey responses are very helpful for us to determine ways to best serve you and the programming that we can provide for you moving forward, as well as for grant reporting purposes. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my presentation. All right, so you have joined an Iowa Organic Association webinar. Welcome. We are a nonprofit organization that was established in Iowa in 2006 and are committed to education, advocacy, and building a community. Our mission is to advance organic agriculture and food systems in the state of Iowa, and our members represent a diverse community of Iowa's organic farmers, gardeners, food and farm businesses, and anyone and everyone that wants to support and champion the organic movement. And you guys are part of this, so thank you for being here today. As far as our priorities, these are our 4 overarching priorities: education, outreach, advocacy, and building a community. So as far as education, we provide various programs, including this webinar, to share expertise that relates to the organic movement. Some of the things that we have been able to accomplish have been the Growing Organic Expertise workshops with technical service providers. Last December, we actually provided the first one-of-a-kind training to NRCS district conservationists, and we will actually be working with NRCS for an additional 4 years in collaboration with Organic Agronomy Training Services. So that's super exciting. The other grant that we've received for 2 years in a row that has been a wonderful one has been the Growing Organic Expertise in Colleges across Iowa through Resource Enhancement Conservation Education Program. Through this grant, we've been able to visit 17 colleges across the state of Iowa and present about organic ag. During those presentations, I kind of give them an overview on organic ag trends, things of that nature, and then along me comes an organic farmer that lives near to that college, and he or she can share about their experience in becoming organic and the reasons why they decided to do so. In addition to that, we offer on-farm field days, typically during the summertime, so be on the lookout for those. As far as outreach, we are always looking to connect with our target audience at various trade shows and conferences. A few that you may know about are Marble Seed, O-Grain, Practical Farmers of Iowa, to name a few. And then, of course, we have a plethora of information regarding these types of events on our website, in our calendar section, of course, on our social media, on our listserv, and via our e-news. So definitely connect with us through one of those options. As far as advocacy is concerned, we try to advance the organic policies that support our growing industry with state leadership. We've met with Secretary Naig. We've also been selected by the Top Funding Partnership, which is a $300 million investment into the organic field. So we are selected as one of the key leaders for the Midwest region. So that's super exciting. More to come on that. And then as far as community, of course, we are here to provide you with the support that you may need during your transition to organic or your organic journey. We have an incredible board of directors, half of them are organic farmers that can provide you with resources and help along the way. So definitely feel free to connect and reach out with questions anytime. And then an additional resource that if you are not familiar with, that's super helpful, is the Organic Resource Directory. This is a document that's available in PDF format on our website, and we also have it in paper form. It has over 900 businesses, nonprofits, educators, and service providers that are listed in this directory. And we believe that this particular document serves as a valuable tool for Iowa's growing organic community to achieve success and continued growth. And today's webinar is actually provided with funding from RMA, Risk Management Agency, with the United States Department of Agriculture. So just wanted to briefly go over some of the RMA programs that are available to you guys. The Whole Farm Revenue Program, which encompasses operations that have up to $17 million in insured revenue. A similar program to Whole Farm, but geared towards smaller producers with revenues of up to $350 million in revenue, is called Micro Farm Program. And finally, the Transitional and Organic Grower Assistance Program, that's geared towards agricultural producers who have insurance coverage on crops in transition to organic or certified organic grain and feed crops. And just FYI, when I post all of these webinar recordings this winter, I will be adding links to each one of these RMA program under the description. So you can find those later if you need to check those out in more depth. And then, of course, as a small nonprofit, we rely on your membership and support. So if you're not already a member, please consider becoming one. Or if you have a business and would like to be a sponsor, of course, we all welcome you. You can check out information regarding membership and sponsorship on our website. And of course, feel free to reach out to either Roz or myself with questions. And here's our info. So that is all I have to share with you guys, and I'll go ahead and yield the floor to Al Smith. Al, if you want to go ahead and get started, that would be great. And Al, I am unable to hear you. I think you're still
there. We go. I had too many screens open there. I was trying to find a couple other things while you were talking there. So can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
All right, perfect. So let me get my PowerPoint back up. That seemed to have just disappeared there. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
Share screen. All right, you see that up there now, don't you?
Yep. So if you want to go ahead and click slideshow and from beginning, that would be great.
Yeah, trying to. Okay, why is that?
So go. So now I can't. Now
yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, Hold on for 1 second. I don't know why that left me. It was just there.
No worries. Thank you guys for your patience.
Yes, thank you. All right. Okay, now you can see it, can't you? Do you
Yes,
see it now, Olga?
I can see it. Yep. So is this
All
your
right.
first slide? Yeah, I think if you want to go all the way to the first slide.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Perfect.
Yep.
All
That's
right. Hey, thank you very much for all your patience there. I was having a little computer problems. I'll just let you know I'm currently in a hotel room up in Decorah, Iowa. I had some meetings here this morning. So I was kind of scrambled to get everything prepared here to get back online. So I want to thank Olga with the Iowa Organic Association for having me on here today. I greatly appreciate it. I enjoy the emails and the literature I get from them that I can read and keep up on the information that they are sending out to everyone. It is what they've done for the organic is as far as information and publications has been fantastic. And so I enjoy reading that. So a little bit of background history on myself. I own Optimum Service Group. We have 9 agents across the state of Iowa. All have similar backgrounds to me. We all started at a crop insurance company out of the Des Moines area. And have experience, whether it be in sales, adjusting, underwriting. And I started in 2004. In 2009, we started at this crop insurance company. And then in 2009, we started our own agency. Have grown up since then. And as of today, I actually travel into 9 different states across the Midwest, from Minnesota down to Missouri and Oklahoma, all the way to Ohio. My biggest concentration of organics is in Iowa and in Minnesota. And then the last couple of years, there's been some on the eastern side of South Dakota that we cover as well. So let's go to the next slide here. There's my contact information. I am was based out of the Des Moines area. If you have any questions at any time, you can always give me a phone call on my that's my cell phone number, and my email address is listed. If you want to just be added to an email mailing, just shoot me an email. I send out updates on crop insurance as it pertains to that time of year, all the time, just to make sure that everybody knows that, hey, it's sign up time, it's production reporting time. Now it's time to get your this paperwork in. So it's just a handy little reminder to have. So next I have here is important dates. I put this information out there because these are the things that you have to do every single year with crop insurance. Our main one that's coming up right now, obviously being in February, is March 15th. What do we have to do by then? You have to either sign up for your multi-peril policy by March 15th, or make changes to your existing policy. So for like this morning, I was sitting downstairs of this hotel room. I had several different customers come in every hour, and we looked at what their cost of insurance is going to be as we're tracking the prices right now. And we look at their coverage levels. Okay. So that's the important thing for right now that we need to get it figured out. The next thing is on April 29th. I don't know why it has that date on there, but on April 29th, we need to report last year's, the previous year. So 2022's production. It has to be reported by April 29th. That's the deadline that would be the next one that's coming up. I always like to tell people I want to know your production usually around November, December of every single year. The reason I do this is because I need to know that if you happen to have any losses. I would say that every year people call and tell me their production around that, shortly after Thanksgiving, and they don't realize that they have a loss, and they would have gone all the way till April 29th to report it. Well, at that point, it's too late to turn in a claim. So the next step after that, July 15th, this is the next big date that you need to know about. This is you need to report your acres at the FSA office. This is what you had planted for the 2023 crop year. This needs to report at the FSA office. They will give you what's called an FSA 578 form. That FSA 578 form needs to be turned over to your agents so they can report their acres as well. We have to report those acres just like the FSA does, and that's what we give for your insurance on those acres planted or possibly prevented planted acres. So next step after that is the first premium billing date. You'll get billed on August 15th on those acres or prevented planted acres that we reported on July 15th. That premium is due prior to October 1st without interest being accrued. Now I say that it's due prior to October 1st without being accrued, but that's actually the past 4 out of 5 years, they've actually moved that premium date to either January or December, due to COVID. Last year was due to drought. So that can be moved. As of right now, it's due to October 1st, okay? Then the other thing is fall policies. Fall policies such as wheat, they need to be done by September 30th. And there's a new one out there. It's called margin protection. It's gaining a little bit of steam. That policy also is a fall September 30th policy. Again, I have October on there, and I didn't update that, but 4 out of the last 5 years is when that needs to be done, paid for without interest being accrued. Okay, what's new for crop or organic and transitional for crop insurance for 2023? Well, this is brand new. This came out that I seen at an update meeting. So crop center and transition. Everybody knows what crop center and transition are. It takes 3 years for that ground to be considered organic. At the same time, you can still insure that or transitional ground. So say you have corn or soybeans on there, and we'll focus on corn in my presentation here coming forward, but you receive a 10% premium subsidy. That actually is quite a bit. I just met with an organic customer just right before I came up here. His insurance on his corn is at the 85% level, is going to be running about $35 an acre. For if that was in transition, obviously that would save him $3.50. Now, organic certified is $5 premium credit. That same $35, he's now paying $5 per acre less for, so $30 an acre. So that's new for this year. There's an incentive. I don't know if this has got pushed by organizations such as the one Olga is working for, but these are incentives for people to look at the organic side of, growing a crop. So next thing is the subsidized policies that are out there. Not all of these pertain to organic, but most of them do. We're going to focus on one of them, but I want to let you know what they're the policies that are available, and then we'll focus on the one that everybody should probably be taking a look at. Revenue protection. This is pretty simple. It's and it's the most popular one. It takes your actual production history. So actual production history, or APH, and you're going to see a lot of acronyms in here because crop insurance loves our acronyms. So your APH is a 10-year database, and what they do is they average that 10-year database. So let's just say if you have 10 years worth of corn out there and you rotate that every single year, your database only goes 10 years. But if you rotate corn, soybeans, that is 20 years out there. They average that out, and you get what that yield is. So that's your yield that came off that farm for at least 10 years worth of history. So next, you take that times the coverage level, which goes from anywhere to 50 to 85%. And then we take that times the spring price. This equals a guarantee. As I mentioned before, this is the most popular one. So we'll focus on that one a little bit, but I did want to talk about your other ones that are out there. Yield protection is the oldest one. When the crop insurance came out, all this did is protected your yield. They used to have a different price than what the revenue protection policy did. But now they use the same price. So it has no price movement, whether you get spring price or fall price. This is just if the price ends at $11 for organic corn this spring while we're tracking, and we'll get to that in a second as well. You also will get $11 for that. Every bushel you have below your guarantee, that 50 to 85%, you're getting 11 bushels per acre back. That's how that works. It's just based off yield only, does not have to do with your revenue. Other policies that are out there are area protection policies. These have become extremely unpopular, and but they are still out there, and I want to mention them. The reason they are unpopular is based off your county average, has nothing to do with you do, unless everybody in the county is also experiencing a loss. On top of it, this policy has become extremely expensive because it's not as subsidized as the two previous ones I talked about. Margin protection. A lot of people are looking at this one. This is more on your conventional side of the crop insurance or the crops that you're growing. This is a fall policy. It's based off expected county yields and the commodity price that's set in the fall. So let's do an example of it real quick on this one. Say you want to buy this for the 2024 crop year because we're already past it. Why people don't like this is they select to buy this in the fall of 2023. So by September 30th of 2023, you buy this policy. Well, you don't have to pay for it, but you don't. You elect this policy. You also have to have a multi-peril crop insurance policy, one of the two above, revenue protection or yield protection, which covers your individual. Now, come next fall, we'll look at the prices again. We'll calculate those prices that are tracked in the fall, and margin protection is in that as well, but we have to wait until June of 2025 to find out what those county yields are. That means you're waiting just shy of 2 years before if you know if this margin protection policy will ever pay out. Again, a little bit of traction. I've sold a few policies. People don't like waiting that long to find out if they're going to have a loss. A couple more. There's an enhanced coverage option policy that's out there that takes you up to 95%. This is for conventional. And then one of them that has been popular, a lot of people that organic or transitional still have some livestock around, whether you have pasture or you bale it for hay. This policy covers you if you do not get enough rain in your area. It's became very popular because of the droughts the last couple of years and still continue to look pretty dry off to the west. So those are the policies that are out there that are subsidized. And the one I want to focus on, especially for this time of year, looking at that March 15 deadline, only 5 or 6 weeks away. This is what we're going to focus on is the revenue protection policy. Okay. Revenue protection. First of all, I was going to show, I don't know if I can share the screen here. Revenue protection.
Are you trying to?
I was just going to switch back here to another one. There you go. Can you see that now, Olga?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So revenue protection, what we do to set a spring price guarantee is we track the month of February. We track the month of February using the December futures for corn, and we use the February average of the November futures for soybeans. Now you're like, well, this is an organic presentation. How do we come up with that? Well, there's a publication that comes out every single 2 weeks that tells what the organic prices are. For 5 years, they track what the difference is between what organic prices are and what the conventional prices are, and they come up with a factor. Okay. This factor is a floating one from year to year, just because they are using a 5-year average. So I want you to focus on this year. This is as of today. I threw up the 2022 crop year, and I compared it to 2023, where we're tracking as of today. So if you look at the 2023 corn organic, right now we're tracking at $11.19. Last year, the organic price was $11.72. I also threw in the organic soybeans compared last year to this year. And this factor is higher on the soybeans than it was last year, since we're tracking the conventional prices, that factor is actually higher, giving us a higher price on organic soybeans this year as of today, $28.11. All right. So that's actually really good prices. Now, while I have you on here, as far as the prices go, there is also a factor in there, which I think I left off this presentation, of what's called a contract price. So we're looking at those prices of corn of $11.19 and 11 for soybeans, there's actually what we have is called a contract price. Every single organic customer should put CP on their policy by March 15th. This stands for that contract price. So that contract price gives you 1.5 times what the amount of this is, the 1172 or the 2811. If you happen to sell grain for more than this 2811 or 1119 prior to July 15th, you can send your contract in to your crop insurance agent, and now you can insure it for that higher price. Okay. I wish more people would take advantage of it like they did last year. I had an individual in eastern South Dakota. He had, our guarantee was 2741 on his soybeans last year for insurance purposes. But when by July 15th, he turned in a contract for $34. We insured him for $34 per bushel on his soybeans, and he had a loss. So every bushel that he was under his guarantee, he got 34 bushels instead of 2741. That's a big difference when you're talking even a couple hundred acres or less. So just something to consider there. Make sure that you take a look at that when you can. If you get a contract price, make sure to use that. So now I lost. All right, sharing your screen. Go back to that. So can you see it still, Olga?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
All right. So as I mentioned, we track those prices during the spring, and then we track them again at harvest time. So at harvest time, as those prices are higher in the fall than they were in the spring, guess what? You get a new guarantee. It doesn't cost you more, you just get a new guarantee. So again, we track those same months, October average of December futures for corn and October average of November futures for soybeans. So what does revenue protection cover? So I like to always show this because this past year we had higher corn prices, but guess what? We had a lot of high yields. So if you have high prices and high yields, you don't get an indemnity. Insurance doesn't pay for two positive things, right? But what else can happen? You can have a high price and low yield. That was soybeans this past year. Corn this past year was higher and lower. So some people had a higher price, but the yields were lower. Obviously, could possibly pay a indemnity. Or the soybeans, for example, the prices went down, but they had a higher yield. So some people collect it by having better yields than normal, but the prices drop. But with the higher prices that we're going to have this year, there is potential for that price to drop. So the next one is low price, low yield. Yeah, you're going to get paid. If you're both corn and soybeans, or I'm sorry, your yields and your price are lower in the fall on those months that we're tracked. Yes, you're going to get it paid a claim. So next is, how does the revenue protection work? All right, so you take the spring price times the actual production history, as we showed before, times the coverage level, anywhere from 50 to 85%. So let's put that into numbers. I'm a visual person. I'd like to be able to see what that comes out to. So if we take $11.19, we have a yield of 125 bushels per acre, and we buy the 85% coverage level. This is a guarantee of $1,189 per acre. That's the dollar amount. And this is the equation that I always tell people, always remember this one. This is a very important equation when it comes to your policy. So what happens at harvest if that price happens to go up? Last year, that price did go up. Okay. The price is higher in the fall than it was in the spring. You get the new guarantee if the price goes up. So let's use an example if that price goes up. So if the price goes up, you now have $13 times the 125 times 85% coverage level. You now are at $1,381. Your coverage just went up that much. That's a significant difference. Now, I like to tell people that this is the easiest math there is. When the price increase at harvest, there must be a yield loss. So basically what we're saying, for every bushel below your 85% times 125, you're getting $13 per bushel. Okay, that's what happens when the price goes up. Well, what are we worried about most? Low prices or low yields? Well, let's take a look at the chance that the price drops. 80% of the time at fall time, the price is lower in this fall than it is in the spring. At harvest time, it's pretty normal that that's lower than the spring price. So let's take a look at what happens if that price drops at fall time. All right, so say the price drops to $9. This is a scenario that could easily happen. It's happened in the past. We've seen it several times. So, but at the same time, you raise the same 125 bushels. That's your average, right? So we take 9 times 125 bushels. That's what you harvested at harvest time. So you got a $1,125 worth of revenue. So the spring price guarantee was $1,189. So pretty simple. $1,189 for your spring price. Subtract that, and your actual harvest price of $1,125. You're collecting an indemnity of $64 an acre. That's real money. These are real situations that can happen. So those are things that I also want you to take a look at. The other ones I had on here was the whole farm revenue protection. This is really tracking some steam within the organic side. A lot of organic customers. I have one I'm going to meet here in Southeast Minnesota here in the next couple of days. They raise not only they raise corn, soybeans, they also have livestock on their farm that they raise for meat and eggs. So they have corn, soybeans, and then on top of it, hogs, cattle, chickens, sheep, and I missed one. I think there was another one that they had on there. Well, they're going to buy what's called a whole farm revenue protection or a micro farm policy. What these do is for a person like this, he wants to insure his total revenue. Well, we use a 5-year history of their what's called a Schedule F. I always like to say Schedule F and relate it to being farm. Schedule F stands for farm. So they need 5 years history of what their gross revenue is. If you're over 2 different commodities, in this such a situation, this guy will have more. He can buy up to 85% of his gross revenue. Okay, his insurable revenue. Now, if he happens to have a loss, this would have to due to either a revenue loss or a natural cause of loss during the insurance period. We're paying it back again. That has an 85% coverage level, meaning a 15% deductible. Now, I looked at the one thing I will say about the whole farm revenue protection policy that I wasn't, I'm not real keen on is trying to find insurance companies that will give you a lot of education on this policy. This is kind of one of them. I haven't done a lot with them. I get a lot of questions on them. When I go to ask these questions to the companies, meaning our underwriters, the sales reps, we don't get a lot of information back on it. So I looked at the difference between the whole farm revenue protection and the micro farm. And they both kind of insure the same direction. The whole farm revenue has a cap on it of the $17 million, where a micro farm, if we look at that, it's for your smaller farms, such as the one I'm probably going to meet with there tomorrow, and it's capped out at $350,000. So what I'm saying is, if you have any interest and you are raising cattle for beef, or in this situation, this guy's raising chickens that he does butcher as well as has eggs. He's got several different commodities. The micro farm would probably be better situated for him. And if you don't have a threshold of having how many commodities with the micro farm. So if you have 2 commodities, unlike with the whole farm, if you have 2 commodities, you can only buy 75% coverage level. With micro farm, you can have 2 and get all the way up to 85% coverage level. So I don't have a lot of information on this. If you do have questions specific to the whole farm revenue protection or the micro farm, I would definitely make sure that you shoot me an email. If I don't have the answers, I will go get it for you. But you are starting to see this out there more than it was before. So, okay, we talked about the contract price as well. And just looking at, oh, there we go. Next slide here. This is one of my favorite ones here is, do you need insurance? Okay, I got a customer down in east of Ames. He wanted canola insured, and I didn't know a darn thing about canola, how to find where to get it insured. Well, if you need insurance on a specialty crop and somebody's telling you that you can't get insurance on it, make sure to give me a call. These are two specific examples that I have up here on the screen that I actually got insured. So this on the left, that is a canola field in Story County, Iowa. He wanted insurance on this crop. What we had to do is we asked for a written agreement. With this written agreement, you are requesting insurance. What do you need to provide with that? It's a lot of paperwork that very first year. You'll have to ask an expert, such as I use the Iowa State University Extension Office a lot, but they have to say that, hey, this crop, if it's planted at this time, and it's harvested by this time, it can actually grow in this area. So you need a letter from an expert that says that. Next, you need a letter from a buyer. So a grain elevator, somebody, where's he going to market this at? You need a letter from them as well. This is the stuff that you can get it pretty much insurance on every crop, even though it says it's not in your area. You asked and request insurance with a written agreement. The next one, so we've had this guy insured in Story County, just east of Ames. This canola has been insured, I think, for 4 years now. He's had a canola over there. So, and then the one over here to the right, this is in Missouri. This one was actually a funny one for me. This county that I have circled, it's Washington County, Missouri. This county, when I requested insurance the very first time, with the risk management agency out of St. Paul, they said actually this one had been Kansas City, sorry. They had said that they had never seen anybody ask for insurance in that county before. Well, as of today, this guy has been had a crop insured now down there for 8 years. It was the first row crop insured in Washington County, Missouri. So these are both two of examples that I can pretty much guarantee if we request it, we'll try to get it. And if we don't get it that first year, they will tell us why we may need it. Again, I had a guy down this morning that I met with that wants to do double crop soybeans in Alameda County. Double crop is available for insurance this year in most of Iowa, but up here, you have to have 3 years of history of showing that you can do double crop, okay? South of, I believe it's Highway 30, they do not need a written agreement down there, and you don't need records. So again, make sure you ask your crop insurance agent if you can get insurance if you need it. So I thought that was neat. If you don't know if you can get insurance, just ask. The written agreement is what you'll need. Next thing I always like to cover is the unsubsidized things. The reason I cover these is it states it right here. August 20th or 10th of 2020, we had the derecho that went through. It was caused devastation across the whole state. This would be covered underneath a crop hail policy with a wind endorsement on it. You may think that your multi-peril will cover you for everything, and it will cover you for the damage, but sometimes you need that additional revenue, and that's being purchased by a crop hail policy. Crop hail policy, the most common one, is a basic policy. Say you buy $500 worth of coverage, and you have a 10% loss. It's pretty simple. You're getting $50 an acre. That's how that's covered. So the other ones have deductibles that are on there at 5%. You might want to keep your prices down, or 10% deductible as well. And there's 20. There's several other ones. There's tons of crop hail policies out there. Just make sure you get a quote if you have hail in your area. Next thing is, if you want a wind policy, wind is for corn only. Again, like I said, wind has become very popular in Iowa, and it just keeps getting more and more popular. The only problem I have with this, as well as there's been so many losses, that this policy is getting pretty expensive. Again, I'll use the guy from earlier today that I met with. He was looking at $500 worth of coverage, or $800, sorry, $800 worth of coverage in Winneshiek County. This would have cost him about $16 an acre. Again, if you have a loss, totally worth it. If you don't, that's a lot of money coming out of your pocket in years like this that are tight. How the wind insurance works, there's two different ones. There's wind insurance and there's wind extra harvest expense. Wind with a wind loss, what will happen is at harvest time, an adjuster will come out after you've harvested and take a 100-foot section area. They'll count how many ears in several different samples, how many ears are within that 100-foot section that they're or sample that they're working. Say they call it 25%, 25 ears are caught on that ground, they're paying you 25%. One of those things that I've always said about that I also don't like about the wind is this: there is some human error that can be involved in that as well. May benefit you or may not benefit you. So the other one is an endorsement that you can get is called a extra harvest wind policy only. But this one's really simple in this area that I'm at right now. It costs about 59 cents per $100 worth of coverage. All the adjuster needs to see is that if there was wind damage to your crop, or maybe it's leaning, it's lodged, and it's going to be difficult for you to harvest. They see that there's damage, they'll pay you 8% per $100 worth of coverage. So on a $500 hail policy, that'd be 40 bucks an acre that they would be collecting. And all that is a visual thing. Heck of a lot easier than the human error that could happen in the other wind policy. So, well, I guess I already covered that in this example, but read through that. If wind is an issue or hail is an issue in your area, make sure to take a look at covering yourself with a little hail insurance. This is another picture was taken of a derecho. This was northwest of the Des Moines area. Just how devastating it was over around that area. I think everybody saw pictures or images similar to this. Next thing I always have to say is sign up for direct deposit. And the reason you sign up for direct deposit is if you have a claim, you're paid within 48 hours of that claim being closed. Otherwise, what happens is, but if you just have it sent in the mail, this happens every single year. If you have that check sent in the mail, it may have to make Great American, for example, the check is cut in Cincinnati, Ohio. Then that check is mailed to the underwriting department, which is in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Eau Claire, Wisconsin then mails it to me, and then I either have to deliver it or mail it to you. When we're talking about all that mail, one, how often does it get lost? Usually around these claims are usually around the Thanksgiving and Christmas time. You know how much mail's in the system at that point? It can take weeks. Okay. I get phone calls all the time from people saying, "Where's my check at?" Sign up for direct deposit, and no matter what company it is, I use Great American in this example, but always sign up for direct deposit. That way, that money is in your account 48 hours after the claim is closed. And if you need assistance with that, and we sign up together, give me a call for assistance on that. So again, there's my contact information. If you ever want to give me a call, shoot me a text or shoot me an email with any questions. But that's all I got. And Olga, I greatly, again, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with everybody today. And if there's any questions, you can ask me now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Al, for sharing this information with us today. And I don't currently have any questions. So if anyone wants to jot those down, you guys are welcome to do so now. So, what would you say is the best policy for organic?
That's a fantastic question. I'm going to be organic specific with that, just like I was earlier today. With these prices that we have right now, what we're looking at for corn and soybeans especially, 85% is definitely the best policy. And I'm going to say the downfalls and why I also think it is, especially for organic. Organic is a high loss ratio practice in the crop insurance industry. It could be because of weed pressure. It could be not enough fertilizer, whatever it may be. The loss ratios are just higher because of the elements outside. What if you can't get out there and cultivate your field? You know, a field can be taken over by weeds really quickly. Happens all the time. So I always say high loss ratio practice, but practice that if can pay out a heck of a lot when completed correctly, or if it can't get done, crop insurance will pay you as well. Okay. So 85% is what I always want, and a revenue protection policy. Protect that price in case that price falls. downfall to it, the downfall is a sticker shock.
Mhm,
It can get expensive in some areas.
mhm,
So the guy I had here today, 85%, Alameda County, $35 an acre. That's
mm.
not too bad. He was guaranteeing him over $1,100, kind of just like in that similar situation. Now I got somebody that I will meet here in 2 weeks up in Minnesota. Their premium can get up to about $90 an acre. So yeah,
Yeah, quite a big variation
yes,
in
correct.
premium. Okay. I do have a couple of questions that have come in now. One from Paul. He says, does RP coverage cover quality loss issues?
Fantastic. Yes. So, thanks, Paul, for the question. Yes, it does cover you for quality loss issues such as is it damaged? Is there too much FM in your grain? All those are factored in there. Do I have those factors right in front of me at this moment? I do not, but those are in there. Now, I always like to give examples in questions such as this for farmers that just for my experience, and so going forward too. We got an organic farmer also down in the Story County area. He had soybeans that got planted late, which is kind of normal for on the organic side, just because of the neighbors. Um, his soybeans came in, the test weight was quite a bit smaller. Um, when that happens, they may get rejected from a certain spot, but there may be somebody that would buy it uh, somewhere in the area that may buy it for feed for their hogs, cattle, or just somebody that an elevator that just buys damaged grain. We're going to try to get rid of that grain before we just say we're going to pay you and say that is a zero yield. So just to let you know that that is out there. One quick example, in 2012 down in Southeast Iowa, there's a lot of aflatoxin. There was still, instead of destroying that crop, they also would find a buyer to buy that before that crop was just destroyed. So, or before we pay you for zero. So great question though.
Wonderful. Thank you for that answer. I have a few more questions.
Sure.
Ortrude asked, what about fire insurance?
That's a great insurance, especially when we're looking at, especially here in Iowa where it could be dry again. Again, I refer back to 2012. Fire was, it happened in a lot of fields in 2012. If you buy a crop hail policy, it already has fire built into it. Okay. So you're already covered for a fire in the field. Now, there is also fire only policies. It's very inexpensive. I always tell people to wait until usually about the July timeframe to see if you want to buy a fire only policy. Why wait till July? Well, make sure it's dry out. That's number one thing. If it's still wet out, there's no reason to buy a fire only policy. And the other thing is, why not wait? Why you don't wait too long? Because when these companies, such as 2012, that happened when it's so dry, companies ran out of liability that they can get from their reinsurance companies. So don't wait too long, but don't buy it right away. But if you have a crop hail policy and that's the standard practice for you, it's already covered in your crop hail policy.
Awesome. Thank you for that insight, Al. Okay, another question by Charlie. Is there coverage for spray drift damage?
Spray drift damage, that's a great one. And it became really big this year when they changed into what's called an unharvested uninsurable cause of loss. So for your multi-peril crop insurance policy, it does not cover you for spray drift. That becomes either your neighbor. Let me put it this way: crop insurance or every insurance likes to point the finger. Whose fault is it? Federal crop insurance is either that revenue loss that we talked about, or it has to be a natural cause. This is not a natural cause in that situation. So it's not covered by your multi-peril crop insurance. That spray drift would be covered by whoever sprayed that, who's responsible for spraying their property insurance. So not through any type of crop insurance policy.
Yeah, and Charlie, if you haven't noticed, we did have a webinar with Larry Steinborn, I want to say a week ago, maybe two at the most. And he shared about his experience about filing a claim against spray drift on his organic farm. So I would encourage you to check out that webinar recording on our YouTube channel. That way you can kind of hear his process and how he ended up getting reimbursed for, that type of situation. So.
That sounds like a good one. I might have to look that one up too, but yep, it'd be on, it wouldn't be through the crop insurance.
Yeah, so it was the other party, like
Yep.
Al was mentioning, that ended up having to, compensate him. Mhm.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, next question from Marilyn. She's saying, I'm growing organic no-till corn using Springfield peas and short stature corn. Is a written agreement possible?
Yes. So you're Marilyn. If I heard this right, are you growing this together? Is that what she's saying in this at the same in the same field, or is
Sounds
it
like,
relay
yeah.
cropping?
Yeah, sounds like. And Marilyn, feel free to add more details into the Q&A or chat box. But yeah, it
Or is
sounds
this
like it's organic no-till corn using Springfield peas and short statured corn.
so
So
they're harvesting the peas off before the corn comes up, or yeah, I would need a little bit more information on.
mhm,
And I will say this, like I said before about the written agreement. Yes, I believe that you can request insurance by written agreement with anything that you do, as long as you state that you have what your intentions are, and if you have that 3 years of history, that's the main thing. That would be a different one for me, but I would definitely love to look into that for you, and I would encourage you to shoot me an email if you had a chance there, Marilyn.
yeah, she's saying, yeah, we grow peas and corn together.
Oh, okay. So they are growing it together. Are they chopping it, or are they harvesting it as that would be
Marilyn, if you want to give us more insight. I'm not sure personally.
okay. Sure, sure. No, that would be a new one, but yeah, I'd be interested to know a little bit more about that. That's for sure. Looks like there was another. Did she respond there?
Peas as cover crop, harvest
Oh,
corn. Hmm.
awesome. So yep, if you're growing the peas as a cover crop and you report that cover as a cover crop to your FSA office, yep, we will insure the corn. Um, there shouldn't be any issues with that unless your the peas are being harvested for um either grain. If it wouldn't be grain, that'd probably be food grade. Yeah, I would need a little. We're real close, but it sounds like that we can definitely insure the corn one way or another.
Hmm.
They're encouraging, and I think this has a lot to do with the Iowa Organics Association and other the practical farmers. I know is another one that's really good here in Iowa, but uh, they've done a fantastic job about pushing the cover crops and making the second crop insurable, encouraging that land to be used more than just a bunch of corn planted this year and a bunch of soybeans planted next year. And I think by these organizations, we're seeing more and more of this happening, and it's encouraged more than discouraged. I would say 10 years ago that somebody would just come out and say, absolutely not, that's not insurable.
Hmm.
So
And
all we do is ask.
yeah, Marilyn just added, she said, the corn is what we want insured.
Yep. There you go. It shouldn't be a problem. Yeah,
Mhm.
Marilyn, I encourage you to reach out to me and we'll get some more details, but I think that's is something that we could definitely ensure at least with a written agreement. So
Charlie has a follow-up question. He says, follow up on the spray. With dicamba, there's no way to pinpoint who is the responsible party. Where is the remedy? Charlie,
yeah, Charlie,
that's a good question.
that could travel a couple miles pretty easily. You're exactly right there. You know, and that's part is really tough when it comes to especially on this organic side. They're putting in well, I mean, it's not even an organic thing. That's even on for every neighbor, whether it's organic or conventional. Um, they're putting in more rules with the dicamba. I mean, technically you're not supposed to spray what is it after June 24th now. Um, but that's a good point. Yeah, that's a tough one when it comes to you almost need to find out who the heck like I always said, whose fault is it when it
Hmm.
comes to insurance?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think there I think records have to be tracked on who actually sprays that nowadays, doesn't it, Olga?
Yeah. The case that Larry discussed, on the webinar that we had last week, was on glyphosate.
Oh, okay.
Not on dicamba. Dicamba definitely is a little bit more tricky for
It
sure.
is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had several customers dealing with that. So that one I don't have a great answer for you when you can't pinpoint it, but everybody's supposed to have record of spraying by dicamba. So I guess that's your only hope. So
Yeah, and hopefully things will get better, as time goes on, where, these folks are more aware of, organic farms around them, and hopefully more careful.
we can only hope,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. You guys, we have 5 more minutes if there are any additional questions. Um, we had a pretty good Q&A session here. Oh, Charlie says, my remedy, every once of chemical pays into a national trust fund. If an organic farmer is harmed, claims turned in there.
Oh, hey,
Mhm.
that's a great idea.
You
You
should
know,
bring that up with your local congressman or congresswoman. That's a good idea.
yeah, I think it
Mhm.
is a great idea because if you think about it, that would make some changes to dicamba and when it can be sprayed and how it's sprayed and who can do it. So when it starts being somebody else's coming out of somebody's pocket, yeah, they're gonna change that real quick. Great idea, Charlie.
Yeah, I like that. Well, you guys have been wonderful. And Al, you have been so wonderful. Thank you for all your insights and all the information regarding crop insurance for organic farmers. If there's one last question, we'll go ahead and answer, but I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up here today. So be on the lookout for an email from me with the link to the YouTube recording, as well as a quick survey. Please answer the survey. It'll only take about 5 minutes for you to do so. Al, thank you again for being
Thank
here.
you.
And everyone, thank you for being here and for your participation, and hope you all have a great day.
Thanks again. Thank you. I appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you.